Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. On today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful short dress. First, you're going to fold your fabric into two with the largest part of your body. Mine is my hip, so I'm folding with my hip measurement. So after that, you're going to draw your shoulder line. And then you're going to mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Mine is 14 divided by 2 is 7 inches. So also on the shoulder line, I'm going to extend that measurement with 10 inches because of the sleeve. You know the sleeve of this dress is not separate from the dress, it's attached to it. So I marked 10 inches on the shoulder. So I'm going to mark 10 inches down to form my bust line. I'm also going to mark 10 inches. And then I'm going to connect the two lines together. I'm going to mark from my shoulder to my waistline, which is 16 inches. I'm also going to mark another point, 16 inches. And then I'm going to connect the 2 points to form a straight line. So from my waistline to my hip line is 8 inches. So I'm going to mark that also. And then I'm also going to connect it. So next I'm going to mark the full length of the dress. For this dress, I want it to be 36 inches. So I'm going to mark from the shoulder to 36 inches. And then I'm going to add 1 inch for hem allowance. And I'll square out the lines. Okay, so now we have the shoulder line, the bust line, the waist line, the hip line, and then the full length. So now we are going to start inserting the horizontal measurement. So on the bust line, I'm going to mark 1/4 of my bust measurement plus 2 inches for ease because this dress is going to be free. So I'll add 2 inches extra. And then I'll mark 1/2 inch for seam allowance. On the waistline, I also mark my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches and 1/2 inch seam allowance. And on the hip line, I also mark 1/4 of my hip plus 2 inches and 1/2 inch seam allowance, just like this. And then the next thing, I'm going to take my straight ruler and connect the points from the bust line to the waistline and then to the hip line, just like this. After that, I'm going to take my curved ruler and curve out the armhole. Just find a curve on that point. So that is going to be my armhole of the dress. So the next thing I want to do is to mark my neck width. I want a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark that. So this is the front of the dress I'm marking. So the next thing I want to do is to mark the shoulder slope. I'm going to mark 1 inch and then I'm going to connect that 1 inch to the neck width, just like this. Okay, so after that, I'm going to go over to the full length of the dress. And this my hip measurement, I'm going to transfer it to the full length of the dress. So whatever I have on my hip, I'll mark it on the full length. This is because I want mine to be straight. You can decide to make yours tinier, you can decide to make it wider, but I want mine to be straight, so I'm transferring my hip measurement down to the full length of the dress. So I'm just going to connect this point. So if you want yours to be tighter, you can just remove about half an inch from the full length and connect to the hip side. If you want it to be wider, you can also add, depending on how you want it, but I want mine to be straight, that's why I just connected it straight. So after that, the next thing I want to do is to smoothen the waistline. You don't want to have any sharp corner, and then I'm going to cut it out. So as you can see, I'm not going to cut through the neck depth yet because I'm going to use this pattern to cut the back of the dress. So after cutting, this is what I have. So I'm just trying to show you that the neck is still intact. I've not cut the neck. So I'm going to use this to cut the back before cutting the neck. So you're going to align your front panel to the back. Make sure everything aligned properly, and then you are going to cut it out. So now I have the two panels ready, the front and the back panel. Okay. So now I can go ahead and cut the neck of the front. So now I'm going to go to the back and cut the neck. Remember that the front and the back neck width must be the same. So for the back depth, I'm using 1 inch, but the width is the same as the front, 3 inches. So I'm just going to cut that out. Next, I'm going to cut an interfacing to turn the neck. So I folded these pieces of fabric into two, and I'm aligning it to the neck, and I'm just going to cut it out. So this little fabric is what I'm going to use to turn out the neck, to turn the neck. So you see what I have. I'm also going to reduce it to about 3 inches long. Just like this. So this is how it is. I'm going to align it to the neck, just like this. And I'm going to use it to turn it inside out. So for the front, I want it to have an opening. I'm sure you've seen the opening. So now I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to measure like 3 inches down. You can do more depending on what you want, or less. So I'm going to cut it. So this is the opening that I have for the front. Yeah. So next, I'm also going to cut out a facing for the neck. So my fabric under is folded into two. You want it to be as long enough to cover the slit, and make sure everything aligns. Okay. And then I'm going to cut it also. So this is just it. It's very easy. So this is the facing for the front, and I'm also going to slit it the way I did for the main fabric. So this is it. So next, you want to put the facing to the neck. Ensure that the right sides are facing each other. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine to sew on the neck, just like this. I'm just using my chalk to go in, just so you understand what I'm trying to say. So this marking I'm making on the neckline is where I'm going to sew on. Okay. So when I take it to my sewing machine, I'm just going to sew on it. And I'm going to do the same for the back. you put the in facing, right side facing the fabric, and I'm going to sew on it and then open it up and top stitch. So after stitching, this is what I have. The next thing I want to do is to trim off the excess fabric that I have. So I'm going to trim off the excess I have from the inside to ensure that it lies nice and flat. So you see that edge where you connected the curve, you are going to trim it also. After that, you are going to notch, okay, notch around the curved areas. And then I'm going to turn it inside out. So I'm going to use my scissors to push the edge out. I'll do the same to the other side. So after turning it, this is what I have. The next thing I want to do is to give it a good press. So this is it after ironing. As you can see, it's looking very beautiful. Okay, this is it from the inside. And from the outside is what I have. So you can see the slit opening that we made on the neck. You see it. So on the back, I also turned it out. You can see I top stitched to make the facing line nice and flat. So that is it. So I'm going to set these two panels aside and show you how to cut the pocket of the dress. So you're going to grab a pieces like this, and then first you fold it into two, and then fold it again. Now I'm going to place my hand on it, and then I'm going to trace it out. After tracing it out, so I'm going to cut it out like this. And then I'm going to cut the opening part. So now we have 4 pieces. Okay. 2 for one side and 2 for the other side. So now I'm going to show you how to attach this to your dress. So from the shoulder of your dress, you are going to mark 18 inches. You are going to measure 18 inches. And then you mark. And then you are going to grab your pocket and place it there. Make sure you put it right side facing, and make sure it's going towards it down, just like this. And then I'm going to make a stitch, open it up and stop stitch on it like this. So I'm going to do this on the 4 corners of the 4 sides of the dress. So after that, this is what I have. You can see the stitch and the top stitch. The top stitch actually makes it lie nice and flat. So I've done that to the 4 sides of the dress. Okay. So next, you're going to put your front and the back panels together. Align the pockets, the sides, everything. Make sure everything aligns properly. And then you're going to grab the shoulder from the neck. You see the interfacing you used to turn the neck. You're going to align the seams. And then you're going to start stitching from the interfacing. And then you're going to sew on it, close the shoulder and the 2 sides. So you sew the sides, top stitch at the pocket side and go over around the pocket and down to the full length of the dress. So just to make sure you are following, I also marked out with my chalk. So I'm going to sew on the chalk. So when I get to that pocket side, I'm going to top stitch, and at the other side too, I'll top stitch and then finish it up. I'm going to do the same at the other side. I'm just showing you that I've attached the dress. So this is the dress after sewing together, after sewing the two side seams together. As you can see, the pocket is ready and the dress is looking gorgeous already. So next I'm going to sew in the seam of the sleeve. As you can see, I already iron it in. This makes it very easy. When I take it to the sewing machine, I just sew on it just like that. And the hem also, I ironed it in and I'll just sew in. I advise you to do this. Just iron your seams in. When you take it to the sewing machine, it's very easy to just sew on it. So that's what I'm going to do, and that will be all for this tutorial after sewing the opening of the sleeve and the hem of the dress. So this is how it looks. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are not subscribed to my channel already, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification so you get notified each time I upload a new video. Until I see you again in my next video. Bye. Love you.